Hi, good morning and good afternoon, everyone, depending on where you are. Let's wait a couple of minutes while other people connect. In the meantime, as a warm-up, let's test our polling tool and hear what you think about the question that I'm going to ask you. My question is, do you think agroecology is a viable solution for a sustainable future of the Himalaya region? You have 5 possible answers, and I'd like you to tick one of them. First, it's an interesting concept. Second, we should intensify production. Third, yes, it's vital. 4, no, it isn't economically viable, particularly for smallholders. And 5, yes, to meet the SDGs, we need to live in harmony with nature. Could you please answer one of these? Or more, if you want. You have half a minute. And I will ask the organizers, Gabor, would you please tell us what the answers were? Okay, so by far the most participants were in favor of the concept of agroecology, particularly to meet the SDGs and because we need to live in harmony with nature. The second group, 49%, said, yes, it's vital to get rid of agrochemicals and to stay healthy. So between them, we have actually a very large percentage strongly in favor. 17% said it's an interesting concept, but it may not be for all farmers. And then there was nobody who felt that we should not have agroecology. A few people, about 10%, 9%, felt that there was an economic problem about agroecology for small farmers. So that's very interesting, and I really appreciate your feedback. And I think it should be in the back of our minds as we go ahead. So please feel free to use the chat and give us your reactions to what each of you feels the others have said. So let's start. Again, good morning and good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ashok Khosla, and I would like to welcome you to the second day of this digital event, Scaling Up Agroecology in the Himalayas Together. Today, we have a new set of speakers ready to let us know more about this momentum building up around some policies driving transformation in the Himalayan region, which, as you know, is one of the most fragile and most important. In fact, today it is called the third pole. We're joined by policymakers, by policy advisors, by advocates and researchers from the Himalayan region, and by a lot of people from civil society and academia. As you may already know, this event is organized by IFOAM, IFOAM, Organics International, and the World Future Council, with the support of the German Federal Ministry for Economic Cooperation and Development, BMZ. I am founding counselor of the World Future Council and chairman of Development Alternatives, a social enterprise based in New Delhi. We focus on identifying, highlighting, and spreading effective, future just policies in the interest of today's and future generations. Today, we are in a very special era, coming out, maybe hopefully very soon, of a pandemic that has really essentially brought the whole world to a grinding halt. And what is topmost in the minds of most of us is, how do we come out of this? How do we recover from this insane one-year pandemic and lockdown, essentially, to come out with a newer, greener, and more inclusive future ahead of us? All right, before we start, let's establish some ground rules. We encourage our audience to comment and ask our panelists anything you want to ask. Just remember to use the questions box to interact with our speakers. We will collect your questions and try to answer them live in 2 rounds. Please specify who you are addressing the question to, and you should also be aware that this event is being recorded and will be shared with participants later on demand. Okay, so the first item we have is Dr. Yogendra Karki, and a video message from him. So let us start with Dr. Yogendra Karki, who is the Secretary of the Ministry of Agriculture and Livestock Development in Nepal. For those joining us remotely, a window will appear in a couple of seconds, and then the video will play automatically.
Hey, good morning. This is Dr. Yogendra Kumar Karki, Secretary, Ministry of Agriculture and Livestock Development, Government of Nepal. Broadly, Nepal can be divided into three ecological zones, namely Tarai, mid hills, and high hills. There are more than 35 forest types and 118 ecosystems, which have been classified on the basis of altitude, climatic conditions, and vegetation types. The mountain ecosystem of Nepal comprises a high number of endemic species occurring in subalpine and alpine zones. Ministry of Agriculture and Livestock Development, Government of Nepal has developed strategic program and plans to achieve the sustainable development goals. And it needs a radical transformation on our agricultural and food systems. It is obvious that organic agriculture and agroecological uh, provide an effective pathway for delivering on the 2030 agendas, providing multiple actions. The river basin and reservoir under the Hindu Kush Himalayan regions provides water to the billions of people and their lives. It is ecosystem, the livelihoods of millions of the people. Over the last few years, Nepal government has increasingly recognized the needs to transform towards sustainable agriculture system in order to preserve available natural resources and improve livelihoods for rural populations. Promotion of organic agriculture first appeared as a priority in the 10th five-year plan of government of Nepal. Now it has been amended in the national agriculture policies and plans with having almost 10,000 hectares of certified land and close to 1,000 farmers of Nepal. Organic agriculture provides benefit in terms of environmental protections, conservation of non-renewable resources, improved food systems and quality, improved health status, and the reorientation of agriculture towards area of market demand. Various institutions, individuals, and farmers are engaging in organic farming in Nepal. Nepal is exporting organic products to international markets. The adoption of organic agriculture increases the agricultural production and improves health of both soil and consumers and seems to be a best option in countries like Nepal, where fortunately integrated crop livestock system is still prevalent. It is found to be a viable option towards food security and agricultural sustainability and ultimately improves livelihoods in Nepal. However, there should be sufficient supply of inputs that's resolved as alternatives but needs adequate extension services and capacity building. The Himalaya event has brought together with policymakers, policy advisors, advocates, and researchers into a forum from the Himalayan region and will be successful to create a working environment towards sustainable agriculture. It will be able to exchange innovative ideas and learning from each others, which will be able to develop action plans with common goals and objectives for improving livelihoods of the people in the hills and the rural context. Minister of Agriculture and Livestock Development, on behalf of Government of Nepal, is very much committed to work for preservation and the promotion of ecological and organic agriculture working together in the region. Hope the conclusion from this Himalaya event will produce relevant suggestions and will be feed into the food system summit to be held in the future. Wish you all the best and have productive time. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Yogendra Karki. for this very insightful and committed message. It's wonderful to know that your country is totally committed to improving the agriculture in your region. These are difficult times, and I hope that we can speed up this process. Now, I would like to welcome Ms. Chona Husa, the global policy expert at IFOAM, who's Organics International. Remember, if you have any questions, if the participants have any questions on this topic, please write them in the questions box. Ms. Husa, good morning. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Ashok. I hope you can see my screen now.
Indeed, we can.
Okay, great. So what I would like to contribute to the discussion with today is an overview of policies that support agroecology, natural farming, and organic farming initiatives in the Hindu Kush Himalayan region, mainly based on a study conducted in 2019 and published by IFOAM Organics International and the World Future Council with financial support of the Schweizfurt Stiftung. The details and updates on these policies you have heard and you will hear about from our distinguished speakers we invited from all of these countries to the event. But let's start now with a general overview. I will start to give a geopolitical overview about the region, to then go deeper in Bhutan, in India, in Nepal, and then I will draw my conclusion and introduce the Food Policy Forum for Change. As I said before, first, some geopolitical context about the region. The Hindu Kush Himalayan region spreads over an area of 3,500 kilometers, including over 8 countries. It constitutes a precious reservoir of water, providing it to 1.9 billion people. But the area is also crucial for the ecosystem services, which ensures livelihoods to a population around 240 million people. The mountain system that is common to the region, where traditional agriculture still represents the main occupation, has always been made up of places where adaptation, mitigation, and resilience are hallmarks of the people, their livelihoods, and resource use strategies. Over the last 10 years, Bhutanese, Nepalese, and Indian policymakers have increasingly recognized the need to transition towards sustainable agricultural systems to preserve the natural resources and improve livelihoods to the rural population. The country I will start with, it's tiny in terms of population size, but it is the one which made a huge step at a global scale. Bhutan, in fact, was the first country to declare its will to become 100% organic. Political support for organic agriculture in Bhutan began in 2003. Implementation followed in 2006, and with the launch of the National Framework for Organic Farming in Bhutan and the National Organic Program. In 2012, Bhutan set the goal of becoming the world's first 100% organic nation by 2020. Since then, we have seen a large-scale capacity development program for farmers to unfold, to training of farmers and staff members from the Ministry of Agriculture. Due to a recent shift in priorities towards national food self-sufficiency and therefore food and nutrition security, with less focus on a long-term goal of doing this in a sustainable manner, Bhutan started to facilitate access to synthetic fertilizer for farmers' communities, and in parallel to this, to cut down on support to organic agriculture. However, the acknowledgement that the 2020 vision will not be achieved triggered a positive discussion about the future of Bhutan's farming and food policy. And so, in 2017, the Bhutanese government renewed support to the organic mission in the 12th five-year plan, which has established the Organic Flagship Program. You will hear more about the Bhutan's target of going 100% by 2035 later on from Mrs. Kesang Somo. Yeah. Now, we will let's continue our journey on the other side of the Bhutanese border and further in the Himalayan state of India. Here, agriculture falls under state jurisdiction, and state governments are primarily responsible for the sector's growth and development. Institutional support for organic production in India at the central state began in 2001 with the launch of the National Program for Organic Production. However, these efforts to promote organic farming began only in 2015 under the National Mission for Sustainable Agriculture. In the same year, the 2K programs fully dedicated to support organic farming were launched. As you can see from the slide, the first one aims to support domestic organic market development and making the certification system affordable and accessible for all farmers through the promotion of participatory guarantee system. However, other efforts have also taken the shape of grassroots movements like the zero budget natural farming. As we heard yesterday from Dr. Kumar, Niti Aayog, the National Institution for Transforming India, have endorsed efforts to significantly boost agroecological and natural farming approaches in India. But we also heard yesterday from NABARD the implementation of the Participatory Watershed Development Program, aiming at reducing risk associated with dryland farming system and livelihood through holistic development. Besides the central efforts, Indian states across the Himalayan also took various initiatives to turn their food system sustainable and inclusive. This way, the adoption of agroecology, natural farming, and organic farming is already a reality in many Himalayan states. The state will probably the longest history of systematic change in policies towards sustainable farming is Sikkim. Since 2016, Sikkim has been the first state in the world to become fully organic. Another very progressive path was chosen by the state of Himachal Pradesh, which has launched its sustainable food system mechanism just recently. These, however, are not the only states looking at agroecology, organic farming, or natural farming as a strategy for transforming agricultural system, as you can see in the slides. I will take this opportunity to actually invite the audience, if you happen to come from these states, to share with us any updates about agroecological, natural farming, or organic agricultural initiative in the chat in order to enrich our discussion afterwards. But now let's move on to our next country, which is Nepal, where also there is some quiet development. The country, in fact, has recently had a growing interest from both the governmental and non-governmental sector to promote agroecology and organic farming. It was in 2004 when the government first included the promotion of organic farming among the strategy to modernize the agricultural sector as part of the national agricultural policy. The current agricultural development strategy includes policy guidelines and periodic action plans to bridge gaps and shortcomings of previous plans and policies. However, it is very important that we have seen even more progressive development at a provincial level. In 2018, in fact, the Karnali province government enacted a policy and development program that outlines the area's gradual transformation into a fully organic one. The transition that is piloted in the 5 Himalayan districts. We will hear more about the case of Nepal in the next presentation from Dr. Bahadur KC. But let me now draw some conclusions. Over the 10 last years, Indian, Bhutanese, and Nepalese policymakers have increasingly recognized the need to transition towards sustainable agricultural system in order to preserve their natural resources and improve livelihoods for rural population. In fact, political commitment has been concretely implemented with varying degrees of intensity, including policies and programs with specific budget to support organic farming, natural farming, and agroecology. However, as you can see also from the slide, agricultural budget allocation for organic and agroecological practices remain disproportionately low compared to those provided to conventional farming. Therefore, it is imperative that countries take a holistic approach when it comes to mainstreaming sustainability in policy making. It is also key that the countries of the region act together towards a unified vision, preserving and restoring these vulnerable mountain ecosystems while improving rural livelihoods. To help with this and facilitate the exchange of experiences and the design and implementation of these progressive, sometimes pioneering policies and the challenges policymakers face, we have established an online platform that is called the Food Policy Forum for Change. This is meant to be a safe space dedicated to peer-to-peer exchange for policymakers. And also here, I would invite and encourage our audience, if among them there are policymakers, to join the forum. You can find the registration link and more information about the forum in the chat. With this, I would like to thank you very much for your attention, and I'm looking forward to a vibrant debate later on. Thank you very much.
Work in the region. I think it's time for a second question from the audience. Can we ask you the following question, and please use the poll on your screens. The question is, what is it that policymakers should focus on to have better policies supporting an agroecological transformation? I've got 5 answers, and you should do either 1 or 2 of those. The first one is subsidies for farmers. The second is ban on synthetic chemicals. The third is training for farmers and extension service providers. Fourth is consumer awareness. And fifth is building a civil movement on sustainable agriculture and food systems. So can we have your answers on this so that we can have a quick understanding of what the general feeling is? We give you a few more seconds. I think the best way to proceed is that I ask Dr. Hari Bahadur KC to take the floor, and then we will come back and analyze the answers. So may I now invite Dr. Hari Bahadur KC, head of the Planning and Policy Unit of the Ministry of Agriculture and Livestock Development in Nepal, to join us. And while we get him on camera, remember to use the questions box. We will address your questions live. And I will come back to the poll in a minute after he's finished. Dr. Bahadur?
Ashok,
Yeah, would you like me to do the poll?
Yes, please. We can start with the poll now. Then we can continue.
Please give us the findings. Okay, the findings. We've got an interesting finding. It's a very broad base of answers. The top answer was the first one: subsidies for farmers on inputs, certification costs, and so on. That's 27%. The next was the number 5, strengthening the movements by working on sustainable food systems. 24% of the people voted for that. And then there was 18% for consumer awareness campaigns, 17% for training of farmers and extension service providers, and 14% for banning synthetic chemicals and agricultural inputs. So basically, it's a very broad-based response, varying actually between 1/6 and 1/4, roughly, of the participants for each one of those. So what it seems to me to imply is that you would need a bit of every one of those to make it work. So now may I go to Dr. Hari Bahadur KC. Please take the floor.
Sorry, Ashok. We will now go with the video instead, if this is fine for you.
Yes, that's fine.
Thank you very much.
पर्यावरणीय कृषि तथा प्राङ्गारिक कृषि एउटा जीवन हो। यसले सम्पूर्ण जीवन र जगतको जहिलेसुकै कल्याण गर्दछ र यो प्राङ्गारिक कृषि तथा पर्यावरणीय जुन कृषिले वातावरण संरक्षणको हिसाबले यसले चाहिँ अहम भूमिका खेलेको हुन्छ र हामीले यो जुन वातावरणमा विभिन्न जीव जीवात्माहरू र उनीहरूको क्रियाकलाप जसले गर्दाखेरि हाम्रो कृषि उत्पादन र समस्त चाहिँ पर्यावरणको संरक्षणमा त्यसले अहम भूमिका खेलेको हुन्छ र त्यसैको माध्यमबाट दिगो उत्पादन र खाद्य व्यवस्थापनको कुरालाई चाहिँ त्यसले आपूर्ति गरिरहेको हुन्छ र समुदायलाई चाहिँ हामीले हाम्रो विभिन्न खालका जैविक र हाम्रो चाहिँ स्रोतहरू न्युरो जल्लुकोदेखि लिएर गएर यस्ता चिजहरूले चाहिँ समुदायको चाहिँ पेट पाल्ने गरेको हामीले पाएका हुन्छौँ र यस्तै कृषि समुदायले पारेको यो चाहिँ यस्तो खालको कृषिले पारेको एउटा चाहिँ सकारात्मक प्रभाव जुन हामीले चाहिँ भोगी आइरहेका छौँ र जुन चाहिँ एकदमै सकारात्मक छ र नीतिगत रूपमा वास्तविक किसानहरूलाई नै हामीले चाहिँ यो समेटेर उहाँहरूको राय सुझाव र परामर्श लिएर हामीले चाहिँ उहाँहरूको विचारलाई पनि नीतिगत रूपमा हामीले समावेश गर्न सक्यौँ भने त्यस्तो खालको कृषि नीति निश्चित रूपमा चाहिँ दिगो र व्यवहार उपयोगी बन्न सक्छ भन्ने मेरो भनाइ हो। धन्यवाद।
You know, in these things, it's really the voice of the farmer that counts. And if we don't have ears and eyes for what the farmer does, a large part of the problem of the farmer and the food situations, food security in the world, is that we've concentrated far too much on the consumer and not enough on the producer, on the farmer. And I think what he just said is really important because fundamentally, the farmer has to make a decent living. And we've often forgotten that. Welcome, Dr. Bahadur. We were worried that you might have forgotten the name. Yes, Namaskar. How are you?
That's fine.
Good. So we've had a couple of interventions which have been very helpful. We've heard from a farmer in Nepal. We've heard from your secretary of your Ministry of Agriculture, and then we've also had an overview, an excellent overview of all the Himalayan region countries' progress towards natural, organic, and other types of farming. So now we would like very much to hear from you what has been going on in Nepal. May I invite you to take the floor? You have roughly 10 minutes for this.
Thank you, sir. Are you seeing my presentation?
Yes, your presentation is very well seen.
Okay. Thank you very much, and thank you for your invitation as a presenter and panelist in this meeting, in this workshop. I am working in the Ministry of Agriculture and Livestock Development in the federal ministry, and I will just highlight about the organic agriculture in Nepal, its policy and priority that we have taken for its promotion. I will briefly, I have 10 minutes only, so I will briefly mention about the glimpse of organic agriculture in Nepal, some policy and priority of the government, how we are working to promote organic agriculture and ecological agriculture in Nepalese context. And as you already mentioned, our one of the province, which is mostly the Himalayan and mountainous province, has moved forward to make it organic province. So I will just highlight some of the efforts that province has made to go for organic, and some of the challenges and issues I will mention in my presentation. As you all know, that Nepal is mostly a mountainous country, We have 16% of Himalayan region and 65% of mountainous region. So most of the places is upper hill, high hill, and some foothills, and the southern part is just a plain area, and all other parts are either mountains, and in the north area it is a Himalayan region. And we have some traditional low-tech farming practices, which is very much suitable for ecological agriculture. Most of the places in higher Himalayan region and in the in different niches areas, they are already organic or ecological by default, because there is no intervention of chemical agriculture chemicals. And small holding is our characteristics, our agricultural characteristics. We have small and medium holder farms. We have integrated farming with livestock, agriculture, and even the agroforestry, and almost 2/3 of population is in farming. So we have large mass of organic matter production from agriculture and also from forest, because we have almost 45% forest, and we have almost 20% of land in agriculture. So yeah, we have a lot of biomass from our forest and agriculture, and we have very good comparative advantage of these products, organic products. We have very big market in China and India, and even in Nepal also the awareness is very much raised to consume the safe products. So it has got comparative advantage. We started this right from the beginning of 2003, but still and from the 10th year plan 2003 to 2007, the country had mentioned it in its major plan. And so in subsequent plan also, organic agriculture, organic products marketing, its promotion has been included. And the current 15th plan has very explicitly mentioned about the promotion of organic agriculture, its branding, its certification, and its promotion. So the government has given policy priorities in the country itself, and some of the policies like agriculture policy, national agriculture policy, agribusiness promotion policy, or agro biodiversity policy that the ministry has endorsed. This policy has also included it in different manners. So these are our policy priorities. And for the organic agriculture promoting programs, we have different. We have tried several guidelines for to be implemented in different districts, different part of the country. The national standard is already prepared and it is under revision process. We are currently revising it because it is from 2008. And Jumla, one of the district, has declared organic, and that is in the Karnali province in the Upper High Hill. And certification of apple has already been started, and now the certification of this cardamom, tea, coffee, apple, and some of the vegetables has already been started. And we have several guidelines in promoting organic fertilizer, producing organic fertilizer. We have developed some sort of subsidy to organic fertilizer and its promotion. Some of the we have subsidized the cost of certification of organic produce, which is mostly exported to other countries. And we have formed a national organic accreditation body, and also we have endorsed the guideline for the PGS and ICS system, and several programs have been launched. Organic agriculture promotion mission program has been implemented in the country, I think 3 years back, and it is now implementing in the province level and in the Palika level. and we have organic fertilizer subsidy, and also in annual policy and program of government of Nepal, it has been included. Recently, you know that the Karnali province, Karnali province has declared organic, has decided to go for organic. They are making some basis of organic production. They are making several programs and policy to declare it as the organic province. And our government is also, federal government has also supported on this move to Karnali province. And the Department of Agriculture, we have the organic mission program was started in 2018-19, but from 2 provinces. Now it is nationwide implemented. And it is mainly focused on the vegetable production organically or organic in conversion, and also the indigenous crops, which are mostly by default organic, their promotion, their marketing. Government of Nepal has also promulgated Food Right and Food Sovereignty Act. We are making the rules right now, and also NARC has started, its Nepal Agriculture Research Council has started organic and ecological research in Karnali province. And Karnali province itself has promulgated Organic Agriculture Act for the first time in the provinces. And it is not yet developed in the federal government. So these are the policies and recent effort that we are trying to make to go for organic Nepal. And it is also mentioned in different political parties' agenda also, because everybody is saying now organic, but still in the program level we have to work several things we have to work now. And we have also requested some of the university to establish organic agriculture college or university, and the course also. So 2 universities has already started teaching organic agriculture in Nepal. And at the government high-level task force on promotion of organic agriculture, a high-level task force which was led by a minister, agriculture minister, was formed 2 years back, and organic and that task force has given several recommendations, and we are now from the Ministry of Agriculture trying to assist, trying to implement those recommendations. Now we have already established organic and ecological agriculture unit in the ministry, and which is leading the organic agriculture. The 7-point of high-level task force, which was formed by the ministry. Minister was the coordinator of the team, and there was secretary, and I was also luckily a member of that team. And it has given 7 recommendations. Institutional arrangement. First, we need institution. Thereafter, the transformation strategy, and also organic agriculture friendly policy and program development. And we need production, research and technology, extension and marketing, those things. There are several points that I am not going to mention here due to time constraint. And increasing access to inputs, because for agriculture, organic agriculture, ecological agriculture promotion, we need alternative chemicals. We need some good inputs so that they can be assessed in the assessed of the farmers. And manpower development is very important. We need very strong manpower, and also we need to develop a capable farmers and aware consumers for these things. So this is very important that we need. We are trying to implement those recommendations in the ministry right now. And in Karnali, you can see here that the Karnali province is in the western area, and it is mostly a hilly area and also some Himalayan region. So this area is most suited for organic agriculture. Most of the area are already by default organic area. They are following ecological agriculture. Only southern part of this Karnali is with use chemical fertilizers. I would say in Nepal, just less than 1% of chemical fertilizer has been consumed in this province in total area. And this is very important. This is this province. And the climate is arid and semi-arid, which is typical in this area in our upper hills. The climate is arid and semi-arid, and topsoil level is less than 2 centimeters. It is unique. And also there is low humidity and also less rainfall. And the land is mostly only 12% of land is cultivable. This is mostly hilly areas and Himalayan areas. Small holding farmers are there. Low productivity is there. And there is very good agro-biodiversity, hotspot of the biodiversity. There are several kind of beings, which is the example of diversity. And there is culture of cooperative farming. This is very unique province that we have. And there are already some organic producers. 25 companies and farms are already there, 16 cooperatives, and 1,400 producers are already listed. And there are unique crop, orthodox tea, coffee, apple and deciduous fruit, and timur, which is xanthoxylum. This is timur. Honey, ginger, hops. These are the unique things from the Karnali province. What issues that and challenges that we have? I'm on the second last, I think, slide. We need to make a mass awareness on its production and also its consumption. That is very important. Sometimes the issues of hunger versus productivity is there. For high productivity, we need high level of chemicals, high level of monocropping, and those things are now being some sort of problem in fertility also, and also some of the other issues are coming. So sometimes the productivity and hunger, there is some conflict in the country itself. Somebody there are two streams. One stream is organic agriculture, another is chemical farming, and they are sometimes debating very very much. Certification is costly. Market is not that good in upper high hills, and there is a risk in shifting conventional to organic system. That is already there is something the government should do to promote that. And we need to have policy enabling environment. And sometimes there is havoc like in American fall armyworm. Sometimes other pests are coming, and how to deal with those pests is sometimes very difficult. But we have very good political willing, very good political commitment, a driving force, which is very, very important for the country. And there are some policies, plans and directives. We have now some technology are changing. Some of the alternative technologies are emerging to make good quality compost, or to make biological pesticides, botanical pesticides, something like that. Research is increasing, and we need some sort of very good periodic plan to develop. And finally, I would say we are implementing those 7 points of the task force. Establishment of National Center for Organic Agriculture is underway. We are trying to establish this organic center. Education in every university, we are trying to endorse organic course curriculum. Research is started in NARC to even a small extent, but still it is in positive move. And zoning of agricultural land is very important, and in Karnali it has already been started. and there is some work already going on. And biopesticide and bioorganic fertilizer production is there. And very important is the marketing system network internally and externally, and a very dedicated organic agriculture research institute and strong linkage among those areas. I will stop here. Thank you very much for this opportunity to present the Nepalese context in this meeting. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Hari Bahadur. This was a terrific overview, and I think what you've said reassures us that your government has total commitment to a better form of agriculture. And I'm really heartened to see that people like you and the Secretary are in charge of implementing this. Now, we've got a few minutes, and I thought it would be good to see some of the questions that we've received from the participants. So may I invite Shona Hisar and Dr. Bahadur to stay on the screen, and let us see what kinds of questions we've received. Gabor, can you summarize some of the questions?
Yes, thank you very much, and I also want to thank the participants for being so active. It's quite a tough job to be on top of all the questions that are coming in. So Nepal has really generated quite a debate, and maybe first I think we should allude to the again to the coherence of policies. How much these policies are actually supporting agroecology and organic, and whether we know of any policies that are going against. So this is a question to Jonah in any of the states and any of the countries here. Also, what sort of promotion is there for organic fertilizer and biofertilizer in Nepal? One participant asked, and there were quite a few issues raised as regards organic and agroecology, like labor shortage, low local processing potential, and competitive sectors, sustained markets, which are things to be taken care of. There's also a question to Nepal asking about the roles of local governments to support organic farming in the rural population, and asking whether organic farmers get a fair price for their organic products. Many people emphasize the importance of having a landscape approach. Others focus on things like soil restoration, as well as having good livestock, so having a holistic farming system with livestock incorporated in it. I think these are all issues that good policies can actually take care of. So we are very much interested in hearing from Dr. Bahadur on these.
And from Shona. Dr. Bahadur?
Thank you, sir, for your summarization of different queries from the participants. Sure. I think in most of the country there is some of the differences in the policy formulation and policy implementation. In Nepal also, I would say very honestly, we have both. We are promoting both in the policy level. You see. But we are trying to make a bit zonation, because you see, we are also promoting commercial agriculture, and we are also promoting ecological agriculture. But the places of this promotion is different, because you see the Karnali province, we are trying to promote organic agriculture in Karnali province. We are trying to promote special crops like tea, coffee, cardamom, this type of and fresh vegetables. We are trying to make these crops organic, even in fresh vegetables, leafy vegetables or salad crops. Those which are consuming fresh, we are trying to make them organic. So the policy, there are some policies in the favor of ecological agriculture, and some of the policies still we have in the against of ecological agriculture. I accept those both arguments. We have both policies going on, but we are trying to differentiate the location. Another question was in landscape basis. We are trying to locate them in landscape basis, so that in some of the areas you cannot stop going for commercial agriculture or high tech, high input based agriculture in some of the area, because we are still importing different commodities from other countries for our food security. So both are there. And in the recent years, we are trying to promote ecological agriculture from policy, from programs, and from activities level. The intensity of these things are increasing in federal level, in provincial level governments, and also in palika, in local level governments also. But it is coming slowly, very gradually. And for the promotion of biofertilizers, the government has given capital subsidy to the biofertilizer plants already to establish, and there are almost, I think, not much, around 25 or 30 biofertilizer plants organic they are producing, but still in our country, you see the transportation cost is very high. The cost of the production, the cost of the product itself is very less, but still transportation cost. This is bulk amount, so this is not very easily transported to other countries, other areas. So we are trying to make this type of bio fertilizer or best quality compost in the farmers field, in the village rural area itself. So this is what we are trying to do. In the recent past, we had a very good program on cow shed improvement, and that means we try to improve the cow shed so that the dung and the urine can be collected very well. They are very well fermented, and that is used for the cultivation. Such type of small intervention, but has very good impact in the field level that the government has endorsed. That is those type of things we are doing. Regarding the local level government, I would say not all, but almost 25 to 30% of local level governments are very much keen to agriculture sector. And even in agriculture, some of the local governments, almost 5 or 6 local governments has already committed to go for organic, besides Karnali province, because Karnali province, they are all local government are committed for ecological agriculture. But in other places also, there are some governments, local governments, local level. The government is trying to go for organic, especially in the areas where tea is producing, where coffee is producing, where fresh vegetables is producing. They are trying. I said because this is not a we are still trying, and in these recent years the trend is increasing positively, that I saw. And yes, we are trying to go for soil restoration also. I would say in the Tarai region, in the southern part of the country, which is plain area, which is highly intensively cultivated with cereals, wheat and rice mostly, and maize, and it is the soil organic matter is depleting. It is less than 1% in most of the areas. So we are trying to promote organic agriculture, organic things, organic biomasses to include in the soil, in the soil restoration. Such type of programs are also included, and activities are being conducted by local government also. You see, to summarize, the move is positive. The government and the political parties, the consumers, all are positive in this production, in these products. but still we have to work very much to make the farmers competitive, to give the farmers a alternative, and to make the farmers aware and skillful for ecological agriculture, because ecological agriculture is knowledge based agriculture. We cannot say it is not the farmers practice itself, but it is knowledge based. So we have to give knowledge to deal with the ecology, and we are trying our best for this. Thank you, sir. That is what I wanted to clarify from my side. Thank you.
Thank you. That's very, very good and very thorough. We have about a couple of minutes left, and I'm going to ask Jonah to give any views that she has on these questions that were raised by the participants.
Thank you, Ashok. Yes, I would like to address the question that was previously asked to me about opposing policies. However, first, I would like to mention the fact that the countries that I presented earlier have taken considerable efforts towards a more sustainable food system. Call it agroecology, natural farming, or organic farming. They are all going for a more sustainable agricultural system. There are also initiatives, for example, that have to be mentioned as the participatory guarantee system, which make certification system affordable and accessible for all farmers. So once we consider this, then we will talk later on as well with during the interview with Anne-Sophie that will elaborate more about this. However, what I want to mention here is that although positive policy intervention in these countries remain not without contradiction. In fact, the government continue to provide still disproportional support to conventional agriculture in order to achieve, in this case, greater productivity. And I can list some examples that are opposing to organic agriculture, such as the one that Mr. Bahadur mentioned before, when we are about to talk about policy that subsidize synthetic fertilizers and pesticides, as well as sanctioning genetically engineered crops. However, here one of the most problematic problems remains that organic agriculture, agroecology, and natural farming, the budget for this remains still disproportionately low compared to conventional farming across these countries. Thank you.
Thank you. And I think one of the important things this webinar can do is promote the idea that governments, who are actually seem to be very committed, have to put their money more into what they're committed to. There clearly is a desire to make agriculture in the Himalayan region more sustainable. Sikkim is an example, Bhutan is an example, and now, as we heard from Nepal, with very, very fragile soil situations and agricultural resource productivity issues, we now have a lot of work to do to put more budgets into it, more people into it, more training. As Dr. Bahadur said, it's a knowledge-based industry. We've got to really put in whatever resources they need. So we are at exactly time. We need a slight break. I want to thank all of you for your valuable thoughts. Now we will basically break for a few minutes, and then I will, hopefully the next moderator will take over, Renate, and we can continue the conversation leading to the Organic World Congress in September. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you.
ऑर्गेनिक फार्मिंग के जो फ़वाइद हैं, मैं पूरी दुनिया को ये पैगाम दूंगा कि ऑर्गेनिक फार्मिंग पे आएं, इससे डरने की ज़रूरत नहीं है, एक बार करें, इसके बहुत बड़े फ़वाइद हैं.
A agroecologia para nós não é só uma forma de produção onde a gente regenera o solo, cuida das espécies, da fauna, da flora, da água, mas também o cuidado das relações, onde a gente tem equidade de gênero nas decisões, onde a gente tem a inclusão dos jovens, das mulheres e uma divisão justa de trabalho e de reconhecimento também.
And this is an encouragement to many other small-scale women farmers just like me. And farming can be very difficult. You don't have access to land, you don't have access to water, but even if you have a small piece of land, an eighth, a quarter, a half an acre, make use of it and feed yourself first. Grow enough food for your family, and in no time, believe me, you will have more than enough for yourself. And when it's more than enough, you can actually even sell that safe produce to other mothers just like you in the nearby cities. And when you do, make it affordable, because those mothers in the cities also want to make sure that their children are eating safe organic produce. And that way we'll be able to spread organic goodness.
ഞാനൊരു അധ്യാപകനോ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഒരു കാർഷിക ശാസ്ത്രജ്ഞനോ ഒന്നുമല്ല. വെറും 2 ഏക്കർ സ്ഥലം കൃഷി ചെയ്യുന്ന ഒരു സാധാരണ കർഷകൻ. കൃഷിയുടെ പ്രധാന ഘടകം മണ്ണാണ്. മണ്ണിന് ആരോഗ്യം ഉണ്ടെങ്കിലേ മനുഷ്യന് ആരോഗ്യമുള്ളൂ എന്നുള്ള ഒരു കാര്യം നമ്മൾ മനസ്സിലാക്കണം.
Utilizzare un sistema biologico significa valorizzare al meglio le risorse che si trovano già in campo, innanzitutto. Non apportare fonti di energia dall'esterno, non intervenire in modo aggressivo per il controllo degli parassiti piuttosto che delle erbe spontanee, ma cercare di far convivere tutti i sistemi, diciamo tutti gli elementi di un sistema complesso come quello agricolo insieme.
Alors que l'agriculture biologique permet la séquestration du carbone du sol et donc limite les gaz à effet de serre, donc c'est un puissant moyen de résilience, d'atténuation et d'adaptation au changement climatique, mais aussi gérer d'une manière rationnelle les ressources naturelles, sol, eau, forêt, biomasse, qui pour nous ne nous appartiennent pas, mais nous ont été confiés par les générations futures, et nous devons les gérer à bon escient pour que les générations futures aussi puissent en bénéficier.
So, in 2 words, being an organic farmer, not only we are producing a good crop that generates an income, but also we are preparing the whole environment for a more sustainable and a productive way.
Për mua, të jesh certifikuar është një investim të vetja, duheni natyrën, duheni jetën dhe hani vetëm bio.
So I would say good morning and good afternoon. My name is Renate Künast and I'm member of the German Parliament and a former Minister for Consumer Protection, Food and Agriculture. I'll be leading the second part of this event today. Well, let us start with an important message at the beginning from Mr. Narendra Singh Tomar, Minister for Agriculture and Farmer Welfare and for Rural Development in India. Here is the video.
सभी को नमस्कार। महामहिम एक साथ मिलकर हिमालयन क्षेत्र में कृषि परिस्थिति को बढ़ाना, इस समारोह में भाग लेकर मुझे अत्यंत प्रसन्नता हो रही है। इस महत्वपूर्ण कार्यक्रम में आपने मुझे साझेदार बनाया, इसके लिए मैं जर्मन सरकार का हृदय से आभार प्रकट करता हूं। मैं इस समारोह को आयोजित करने के लिए जर्मन सरकार, वर्ल्ड फ्यूचर काउंसिल और IFOAM ऑर्गेनिक्स इंटरनेशनल तथा अन्य साझेदारों को बधाई देता हूं। यह लोगों के जीवन व जीविका में गुणात्मक सुधार लाने में हितधारकों का एक साथ लाने के लिए एक उपयुक्त मंच है। भारत के सबसे संवेदनशील क्षेत्रों में से एक क्षेत्र सतत खाद्य प्रणालियों में विकास में शामिल महत्वपूर्ण मुद्दों पर अपने अनुभवों को साझा करने के लिए यह निश्चित रूप से एक मंच प्रदान करेगा। हिमालय विश्व में सबसे बुलंद और युवा पर्वत श्रृंखला है जो भारत के लिए पवित्र है। यह उत्तरी भारत में प्रमुख नदियों का स्रोत भी है जो इस धरती पर सबसे उर्वर व घनत्व जनसंख्या वाले क्षेत्रों में से एक को सहायता प्रदान करता है। हाल के वर्षों में अनियमित वर्षा, सूखा, बाढ़, बादल फटने जैसी प्रतिकूल घटनाओं में वृद्धि हुई है और हिमालय के संवेदनशील क्षेत्रों में समग्र रूप से जलवायु प्रभावों को महसूस किया गया है। ये लंबे समय में उत्तरी भारत के अधिकांश कृषि और खाद्य प्रणालियों को गंभीर रूप से प्रभावित करता है। 2015 से परंपरागत कृषि योजना के तहत सतत उत्पादकता, खाद्य सुरक्षा, मृदा स्वास्थ्य को सुनिश्चित करने के लिए जैविक खेती को बढ़ावा दिया जा रहा है। इस योजना का लक्ष्य 2025 तक जैविक खेती के तहत 2.5 मिलियन हेक्टेयर भूमि को क्षेत्र लाना है। इन टिप्पणियों के साथ मैं हिमालय के प्रमुख प्लेयर्स का समर्थन करने के प्रयासों के लिए जर्मनी सरकार का धन्यवाद करता हूं, जिन्होंने कृषि परिस्थिति के इस दृष्टिकोण के आधार पर सतत खाद्य प्रणालियों का निर्माण किया है। महामहिम भारत ग्रीन रिकवरी, सतत कृषि, प्राकृतिक खेती और कृषि विज्ञान क्षेत्रों पर जर्मनी के साथ मिलकर काम करने के लिए तत्पर है। मैं इस आयोजन की सफलता की कामना करता हूं और मुझे विश्वास है कि इन विचार विमर्शों से निकलने वाले जो निष्कर्ष हैं, सिफारिशें हैं, हम उनकी प्रतीक्षा करेंगे और उनको आगे बढ़ाने का प्रयत्न करेंगे। आप सबको हृदय से बहुत बहुत शुभकामनाएं, बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद।
Thank you for this video. I hope you hear me now. And let me highlight what Mr. Thomas highlights. I think he focuses on the huge importance of the Himalayan region for the lives of many millions of people. And we know the situation in the country is now really dire. Nevertheless, it is great to see India leaving the idea of the so-called Green Revolution behind and stepping on a path the minister just called green recovery, as the honorable minister points out. I think this is important to focus on this word. And that's a perfect connection to the interview we can do now. And I'll have two guests. I want to welcome first Dr. Pema Gyantso, Director General of the International Center for Integrated Mountain Development, and second, Mrs. Anne-Sophie Poisson from the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations. And I will start with asking you first, Anne-Sophie, maybe you can give us some ideas and a brief overview of the Scaling Up Agroecology initiative the FAO is driving.
Thank you, Renate. Namaste. Very nice to see you all. in a region that is close to my heart. I lived in the region myself for several years and know all of the countries here. And I think, thanks for the question. We really are in a climate and food systems emergency. We need to mobilize action to transform our agriculture and food systems. So the Scaling Up Agroecology initiative was set up as a global United Nations-wide partnership to promote agroecology among governments and across society as one holistic approach to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals. The Scaling Up Agroecology initiative was launched in 2018 by FAO and United Nations partners like the World Food Programme, IFAD, UNDP, the UN Environment Programme, Convention on Biological Diversity. And we use agroecology as a broad and inclusive concept that includes natural farming, organic agriculture, regenerative agriculture, permaculture, biodynamic agriculture. And the point is not to so much get dispersed on the differences, the legitimate differences between various approaches, but to support a family of approach that aim to mimic nature in agriculture and to support social inclusiveness and care principles in order to restore resilience, ecosystems, and food and nutrition security. So why this initiative? What does it do? We've seen that there are many successful examples of agroecology at local and national levels. We've heard many farmer voices today and yesterday, which was lovely. But some countries have also made agroecology a strong national strategy. For instance, Senegal or Mexico or France or Uruguay, just to name a few. But there's still a lack of awareness among policymakers and among farmers in many countries. And I can say also from our governing bodies that there is no consensus among UN member countries about agricultural development paradigms. So this Scaling Up Agroecology initiative aims to support government and society in strategic areas. The first area is how do we strengthen the knowledge and the evidence about agroecology? So FAO and partners have organized scientific symposia collecting the scientific evidence globally and from farmers around the world. And we also developed TAPE. It's a new tool for agroecology performance evaluation because we need new metrics. Yield of one monoculture is not a proper metric when you're looking at diverse systems. We try to promote plant diversity and integrate animals and trees in production systems to build resilience. And then you cannot compare the yield of one crop with another, with a monoculture, right? Because you have so many crops and animals on your land. So we use 10 elements of agroecology defined and agreed by our member countries, and also provide training in many countries and regions and feeding a global database about how do we assess better how much agroecology works and what are the trade-offs as well as possibly. And the second area of work is really about social policies and supporting policies and capacities. So the Scaling Agroecology Initiative has picked 3 flagship pilot countries, Senegal, Mexico, and India. But also we work with many other regions in the world, supporting them, for instance, in many countries in West Africa, developing a regional 10-year plan for agroecology. And also develop Agroecology Lex. That's a portal that compiles all of the policies and laws globally on agroecology and organic, and with a view to help governments and also local governments and initiatives who want to promote agroecology to see what are the existing policy measures they could put in place. And we also support countries with territorial markets development, extension and advisory services, shifting research, also supporting agroecological approaches. And the third area of work is partnering for transformative change. I think we all realize that no single actor holds the solution. The very interesting poll that Ashok ran a little earlier about what measures should be supported showed such a variety of different things that need to be done.
Yes. And
so we need to partner, and we, including, we hope in the UN Food Systems Summit, that will help advance this agenda later this year.
May I add, thank you so far. May I add a question? The point is, at this, someone, I think it was Krona an hour ago, she talked also about stronger synergies, holistic approaches. and you also did it. It's not just one tool, it's about partnering and different measures. What do you think this initiative could mean for the region? If you try to draw a picture, what could the region do, or we together do?
Yeah, in the Scaling Up Agroecology initiative, one of the 3 pilot countries is India, in fact, and for a good reason, because we think that not only India but also the broader region is a laboratory of incredible things happening in scaling agroecology and organic. In India, one of the focuses is the natural farming and the Andhra Pradesh community managed natural farming, where, for instance, we are looking at policies and doing a foresight study with our partner CIRAD and the government of Andhra Pradesh about what would it mean if the entire state was to transition to natural farming and agroecology? Where would the sustainable inputs come from? What would the labor? What would happen with labor? What would happen with productivity? And we also support the government on participatory training through farmer field schools to help farmers come up with their own locally adapted innovations. We also worked with the state of Himachal on the Prakritik Kheti Kushal Kisan Yojana, and the SUSPNM program that Dr. Chandel and the Chief Minister spoke about yesterday, and in how we build a local sustainable food systems and a systems-wide approach. FAO has also helped India introduce participatory guarantee systems many years back in 2004, and India has scaled this to a very, very large extent with very innovative use of local NGOs to help the certification process. In Nepal, we also work on it with the public and private sector on promoting organic agriculture in Karnali, which was talked about a little earlier, focusing on innovations in organic for selected products, on building capacity of farmers, farmer field schools, and on market linkages and organic certification process. And we'd love to see and to partner with countries. We'd love to support an agroecological and organic integrated program across the Himalayas if the countries should request it. You know, as a UN institution, our member countries decide what our agenda is, and strong requests for working on agroecology and organic are important also for us to hear as a global institution, so that then we can build such programs in partnerships with others and with local farmers and governments. Yeah.
Thank you so far. And Sophie, I just want to add one short question with asking you for a short answer, because we can go on in a panel discussion. The point is, can you just give us a sentence about this participatory guarantee system, which is a tool for smallholders to go for organic? A vital question.
Yes, indeed. And participatory guarantee systems are essentially locally focused quality assurance systems that certify that producers are following sets of organic or agroecological practices. And the really interesting thing is that they are based on active participation of farmers, consumers, and local actors. So this is really about these local food systems that we are all looking at right now as one of the avenues for achieving SDGs and climate resilience. So farmers pledge to follow organic standards, and a group of actors, which can be a mix of farmers, consumers, and agronomists, conduct field visits regularly. And they set up a PGS committee. It's been scaled to an enormous amount, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of farmers in India, for instance, but it's also developed in many other countries in the region and globally. And the beauty is that not only is it lower cost than external third-party or second-party certification or guarantees, but also you see the moments for the audits, the visits of the farm become a moment for learning together and exchanging, not so much a moment for passing a test, generating a lot of stress by an external auditor who's coming to tick off the list, but it really becomes a part of the learning process. And part of building territorial linkages with consumers. It provides also market access due to closer contact in shorter supply chains. I think there's a huge potential to develop them further in the region. FEU has also supported a mountain PDS development of late, and I think that's a non-hierarchical certification method that is well adapted. We often put the onus on the farmers who are farming sustainably to demonstrate that they are farming sustainably through certification. And we never or rarely ask as much effort on conventional farmers to certify that they're not doing harm. So somehow we need to also be flexible in these and creative in these institutional innovations around the guarantee systems.
Thank you, Anne-Sophie. This brings us to the new way of thinking. And now, in this interview session, I'm coming to our second person, Dr. Pema Guianto, Director General from the International Center for Integrated Mountain Development. Hello, Pema. I think you have to move your camera a bit because I just see the left half of your body. Yeah, maybe everyone is interested to see more. Okay. Thank you very much. This is better.
Can you see me now? This is better. Yeah, thank you.
Now we see.
What happened to my camera?
Yeah. Can you give us an idea about, at first, of the situation of organic farming and agroecology in the high mountain areas and maybe especially to Bhutan? What is the situation, even looking from the perspective of the farmers?
Thank you very much, Renate. Can you hear me?
Brilliant.
Thank you. Well, now we have to take in the proper context. In most of the Himalayas, the farmers are smallholders, with very limited land holding. And then you look at the topography, it's generally slopes, very steep slopes. And then the limitations are again the soil fertility, soil moisture. So given these conditions, if we go as subsistent farmers, if you just go for subsistence, then organic farming is very, very practical and it is very much doable. But now when you target, sorry, can you see me?
We hear you. That was just a problem with the cameras, all cameras.
So when we now look at commercial sort of scale farming of organic produces and products, then the difficulty arises. So those are the challenges you face. So if you look at Bhutan now, Bhutan has aspired to go all organic, to go for 100% organic farming. Now that is an aspiration, and I'm sure my colleague Kezan would later subscribe to that or give more details on that. But there are huge challenges. First of all, if you go for small, the individual farmers, then there is no economy of scale. If we bring together the farmers as cooperatives, then the question of monitoring the quality and standards become difficult, and it would be very difficult to obtain, uniform quality of the produce, of the whatever they produce, and then it will be difficult to get certification. And then when you go for larger scale, then the question of inputs and including labor comes into factor. So, in many parts of the Hindu Kush Himalayas, now we are running short of farm hands. So without some degree of mechanization, it is difficult to go on a bigger scale. And again, the inputs question of producing enough farmyard manure or compost or biofertilizers then becomes very difficult. So I think the choice ahead of us is to go for selective crops. There are certain varieties which do very well without chemical fertilizers, without pesticides and insecticides or any chemical inputs. But there are certain species and varieties which without any chemical input, it would be very difficult for us to go on a commercial scale. Let us look at rice, for example. Now, most of rice produced in Bhutan, paddy produced in Bhutan, is by default organic. because farmers either use farmyard manure or leaf litter from the forests to enrich the soil, and also spring water for irrigation. So it is by and large organic. But then now the challenges like the weeds coming in. There are some invasive weeds species that cannot be controlled manually or biologically. Then we have to use certain amount of herbicide. So whether we can certify those kind of the products as organic, if we can meet certain quality, I guess we can do it. So these are some of the challenges. So our the experience in Bhutan is very mixed. If you go for full organic, there are challenges. If you don't go organic, also there are also challenges. So these are some of the dilemma that we are facing at the moment. And then when you have small plots of land and you convert that to 100% organic, but then in the market it doesn't fetch any extra money, extra price. Then this discourages farmers to go for 100% organic. So even if you go for commercial scale, the market has to be assured for such produces. Now I see in Bhutan the future for crops like asparagus, peas, etc. to go organic. Fruit crops, peaches, pears, and so on, walnuts. So I think for the mountains, it is very advisable to go for mixed fruit tree and vegetable production, and that way we can achieve some degree of achievement in the organic farming sector. I'll stop here just now, Renati.
Yes, thank you. You already answered the next half of my question, and there comes the third one. I've been about 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, I was in Sikkim and was impressed by their, I would say, holistic approach. Now I know each country is different, people are different, conditions are different. But it brings me to the question, do you think there is enough cooperation between countries and regions so that you can share experience, can support each other if someone is doing science for this, pests or that? What would be your idea? Do you have the imagination that you can learn from someone else or someone else can learn from you, and we have to organize it better?
Yes, there is definitely need for more cooperation, transboundary cooperation. So from ISIMO, we have been trying to do that. We have been trying to bring agricultural scientists, producers, and farmers together to discuss ways and means of improving our nature-based farming systems. So one example I can give is now one of the cash crops that we have in the region, particularly in the eastern Himalayas, is the brown cardamom. Now, Bhutan is producing that, Nepal is producing that, and Sikkim is producing that, as well as Northeast India, the other states of India. But we are competing against each other rather than pooling our resources together, having a common certification and standardization system, and then competing in the world market. So this is something that we are trying. And this cardamom farming, I think, is a really nature-based farming, because we are actually combining trees and shrubs. And we can also grow other small other vegetables and so in between. So if we can exchange experiences, come together and set common standards and guidelines for production, I think we could actually bring that to achieve the level of economy of scale that would be necessary to compete in the global market.
Yes, thank you, Pema, so far. I think just this together in the world market, we'll have it in our mind for the panel discussion later on, because I think this is an important point. Thank you so far. And now to everyone else, we are move on, and let me welcome Mrs. Sangtomo, National Organic Flagship Program Manager from the Ministry of Agriculture in Bhutan. Good afternoon, the floor is yours. And you can write questions if you have in the box with the question marks, and we look at it. There we see your slides.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we hear you very well and see your slide. You can start.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon, everybody, Your Excellencies, and all the participants in this event. I understand we are running a bit late, so I'll try to go
Only
quite.
2 minutes. It's okay.
Pardon?
It's only 2 minutes late. You have your time.
Okay, okay, thank you. Now, wait, okay, my slide is behind the. Okay, so I'll try to go quick. You can see? Okay.
Yes, but you went back to the headline, to the first page. We just saw the second page.
Okay.
Now.
So this is just to show the reference. So I will not spend time on this because I think everybody now knows where Bhutan, Sikkim, and Nepal is located. So only thing emphasis I'll make is on how small area we farm. The area where we farm for all agriculture is less than 3%, and in that area we have to produce food as well as live. So the pressure competition is quite stiff. So with that context, I would like to take forward and just to share, I think there's not much difference between our traditional farming and our cultures in our Himalayas because we are quite similar. Most of our traditional farming is based on our mountain living, which is based on tradition, cultures, spirituality, religion, our community, and how we interact with the environment, and our mostly Hindu and Buddhist traditions. And many of our farmers are small family farms, and our forest is a very much a part of our lifestyle and our food systems. And majority of us are on subsistence farming, which are now being pushed to move and adjust towards economic viability to provide space for be able to provide food as well as living, meaningful living. And now with the increasing pressure from climate change, our people have even more challenges for farming. So this is the area context in which our mountain farmers are farming. And to understand the context in which Bhutan promotes organic, not only organic agriculture, all agriculture is being very judicious with what we use, very careful with what resources are used in the country. And as earlier referred, we have an aspiration to become wholly organic at some stage. And our target has moved because of situations, but generally the country embraces the principle of organic production. And we work to find alternative solutions, not making it a compulsory to adopt and take it up, but to find specific products for specific locations where we can be developed into organic areas in a phase-wise manner that farmers can move at a comfortable phase with the use of alternative methods to when found to replace the conventional farming methods. Because being a very small sensitive country, our food security is of concern. So it is not a practical mode of movement to adopt ideological views to go all out organic. So our farmers, consumers, society, market has to be prepared to receive organic and appreciate organic as well as adapt and adopt to the changing situations. Only when market and consumers, people are ready, then we can push and move forward. So for that, the government believes in supporting development of organic farms in a package so that stakeholders from growers to processors to business people can take part as well as be take ownership of the being part of the movement as well. So while we have not a very long history, while we initiated in early 2003, actually officially it was only integrated into our official program for organic development within the 5-year plans in 2008. So that has since then, these are the years we have been trying to prepare and create enabling environments and come up with policies and services and technologies that can help farmers to be part of the growing sector. So as you can see, our nothing different from our neighbors, our farms and forest and food is very integrated and inseparable. And as you can see, the religion, the temple in the middle of a village. So this is the context of how lifestyle for mountain people are. And what revolves around their life is for a Bhutanese farmer, it is the food, local organic food, and having the safe food, good tasty food, and be able to be have a good economy from the business of providing, growing, and consuming food that is safe and clean is part of the system. So it is building on this strength that we want to move forward. But again, as we have to be grounded, where we have to understand that there are challenges in farming, and especially in organic farming, because we import almost close to 50% of the food products from our neighbors, which means the food security, food self-reliance, and food sovereignty is very important to the country. For that, to ensure that we have enough and we have good quality, we need to work on all the different issues such as low yields in traditional varieties, the changing labor shortage, which leads to use of chemicals, and also the topography and the farm system, which is small fragmented land, which increases the cost of production with the low mechanization potential. So all of these need to be supported with research and development and coming up with appropriate technology. So for this, to address this, the National Organic Program, which was the earlier program, has now been centered and developed, further upgraded into a National Center for Organic Agriculture as a research and development center in Bhutan. And with that, as well as the National Organic Flagship that has been approved, our long-term program objective has been, since the beginning, the issue of food, nutritional and food safety and sufficiency, and environmental conservation and natural resource use. And important is having a rural income that will encourage the youth and the people to be employed in the rural areas, which will keep them from moving to the cities. Another thing is looking at our traditional farm system, promoting a holistic integrated farming system, which involves the forest and the livestock. And having enabling policies in place by the government so that these developments can be supported and taken forward. And then the research centers supported by the government to come up with appropriate technology and information that can help the people to be part of the movement. Now to move to what we have now, the stage where we have moved in is after the preparation. Now we're taking it to the ground, to the field where people, to encourage them to push the production and being the value chain development. So the goal is to look at not only food security for yourself, but also look at how we can commercialize slightly for market orientation, so that not only you have nutritious food, but also you have something to export or sell in the market. So that is with the objective to increase production, value chain development, livelihood, and to create farm inputs which are required in the country. We are bottlenecked by lack of farm inputs. Some of the approaches that has been taken to move this is looking at what can we encash on the market requirement, supporting the small growers to link up to the markets and to provide for themselves, taking a watershed and cluster, village of cluster-based support, and in a landscape approach, whether it is a national park or a village or a geoc, which is a block, or if possible, a whole district. So we wanted to take in an integrated landscape approach where we provide the whole integrated system as organic. So other thing is where there is a market demand for export, developing specialized organic production zones, and engaging communities to develop groups and cooperatives. And in the business development, engaging cottage and small industries, FDIs, or private sector to build businesses. To take it forward, of course, there are so many things that are required, but some of the key things we want to look at is making access to bio inputs like seed, organic animal feed, bio compost, and plant protection material like biopesticides available, because unless they have these key inputs available and accessible easily, organic production doesn't happen easily. Then that needs to be supported by research programs where our central research centers can come up with technology to solve problems in the field. So other thing is addressing the labor. We need to look at how to small mechanization, small machines in our mountain areas, and also coming up with once we produce. Production is not a problem. People can produce. Farmers are skilled at producing. But if you do not have the market, the secondary sector development is very important. So we are focusing now, moving our focus a little bit to the secondary sector, which is value addition, value chain development, and product development. So creating a market for the farmers. Another thing is to, if we do not certification, market is limited. So looking at strengthening and linking. Yes.
Yes. Can you finish in 1 minute, please?
Okay. So then what we are focusing on is developing this main linkages, is production, value chain, increased input, as well as moving on to the supporting with the policy. And as a total output of the flagship, we are hoping to reduce chemical fertilizers by 25% and chemical pesticides by 20%. And these are some interventions that are required for supporting the movement. Some of the products that we are focusing on for production in the flagship is ginger, turmeric, cardamom, and buckwheat. And these are some of the products and the field things which the farmers are engaged in. And the certification packages or the support we provide the farmer is the local assurance system. PGS is option. We kept the scope open, but the third-party certification linking to international certification to link to market. And this is the Bhutan organic mark that we are providing to certified products in the country, so that people can sell their products in our thing. So in the market. Now we look at policies for scaling up agroecology. So we are looking at, while we have the past, in the future, looking towards the future, we are looking at strategies in the future, and NDCs we are linking up to organic development.
Okay.
And this is to sustain the future development. We have the institutional linkage and the system to ensure that it continues after the flagship is over. So this is the last slide. So at the end of it, what we need to do is the balance is required, a practical balance for food and economy. So as long as there is government has the funds to support, the people can take up and participate in the management and upscaling of the ecology. Thank you.
Thank you, Sang Somo. You really delivered a holistic approach, and I think everyone is impressed, and we get all your slides of this conference and can look at all the details. I'm impressed. Thank you very much. Bhutan is the first country setting itself the goal to 100% organic, and we see it's really a holistic approach. So thank you so far. And now I would like to ask all the speakers of the day, as well as our distinguished guest from the Ministry of Agriculture to come to our panel discussion. Everyone for the panel, I ask to please activate your cameras and don't forget to unmute yourselves when you wish to contribute. So activate the camera and but not your microphone at the very beginning. Thank you. For everyone listening here, I would say you can add questions here in the question mark, and of course we'll have a very basic debate now on this panel, because we learned about the new way of thinking, a holistic approach, how to export to meet the standards, a deficit and research and funds, very practical questions. And now I'm interested in the question what questions we got, and I think Gabor did look if there are any questions we can and you give me a summary or us.
Thank you very much, Renata. Yes, audience is still quite active. And now that we had the presentation about Bhutan, of course, there were quite a few questions that came in to Kesang. For example, just to take a few, what can be done to encourage demand for certified organic within Bhutan so farmers can get a premium price for certified organic? Another question is about, well, actually, we have two questions asking whether there's a plan to ban chemical-based things to import in the country and ban chemicals in general. So I hope Kesang can take on these questions. I'm also very happy to see that we actually generated quite a debate between policymakers, because we have Dr. Chandal from Himachal Pradesh, one of our speakers yesterday, actually challenging some of these policymakers that talked today. One of his questions or one of his comments is to Pema, saying that he disagrees. They in Himachal Pradesh have been successful in meeting all the challenges and come out with successful outcomes in terms of production, reduced costs of cultivation, better pest management, and making all farming practices inclusive of agroecological principles. As well as he's saying to Dr. Bahadur, or asking Dr. Bahadur whether their organization worked out the cost of cultivation in case of organic farming in comparison to conventional farming. We also have a question from the German ministry, from Maria Tekulva, asking about the performance of selected crops, focusing on staples like rice or wheat. So we can maybe hear about that from Nepal as well as Bhutan. One of the participants is asking about figures, hard figures, how organic production looks like in the different countries in the Himalayas. So maybe Jonah can expand a little bit on that one. Yeah, and people are also impressed with the approach that Anne-Sophie presented, and asking her about a general overview of India's agroecology approach, how you think it actually looks like in general. Yeah, maybe these are the first questions, and if there are more coming up, then I can be back to you. Thanks.
Oh yes, thank you, Gabor. And now we do have Xona Hisa here on our panel, Anne-Sophie Porso, Pema Kranso, Kesang Tomo, and Neelam Patel, Senior Advisor of Agriculture for the Niti Aayog from India. So I would like, to ask Xona first for some basic questions that were mentioned here. Someone asked, as Gabor said, for the hard figures in the different countries. Maybe you can introduce, and then we go just through all panelists to add something to the questions. Xona.
Thank you, Renate. Yes, I would like to give some hard figures and statistics about the 3 countries that we talked today. And I will start with Bhutan. And these figures are back in 2019. So there's the last update that we have. So for Bhutan, we have an organic agricultural land of 6,600 roughly of hectares. And this is resulting of 0.3% of the total organic share compared to the agricultural land. For the producers, now Bhutan is counting around 4,400 producers. In regards of Nepal, we are having an organic agricultural land of 9,400 hectares that results of 0.2 organic share of the total agricultural land. And the producer here, we have just 983 producers of organic farming. And last but not least, India. India is actually home to 30% of the world organic producers, but still accounts only for 2.3 million hectares under organic cultivation. And this results of 1.3 organic share compared to the total agricultural land. And with this, I would like to invite all the audience to visit the statistic that are shared in a book that IFOAM Organics International, together with FIBEL, the Research Institute of Organic Farming, is publishing every year and is updating. So you can find this link for further information. Thank you.
Thank you. So focusing on all the questions Gabor introduced here, there was, for example, how to increase the demand, how clearly you would go to ban chemical-based products to import and things like that. And what is about a change in the budget? Who wants to start for his or her country? I ask Neela now. You have to unmute your microphone, Neelan.
Yeah, thank you, and good afternoon from India. In fact, our experience in India, if we will not give this substitute to farmers, then we cannot think of banning of anything like the pesticide, insecticide. First, we should have in place the sufficient quantity of these biopesticide, insecticide, and we have to enhance the capacity of the industry. We have to do the capacity building of the farmers. And the third thing is, now this world is facing this corona problem. If we can tell people to consume the green food, which is healthier than which we produce from the chemical, using chemical fertilizers, then we can enhance the demand. And in India, we are seeing in last 1 year, people are coming to buy these our organic and natural product in place of our traditional product. So I think we have to give the benefit of our green product. I am telling about organic and natural product. And then second is, we have to generate the demand in the international market by utilizing the single certification process. Like our Himalayan countries, they can have the single certification process, and by this, in place of competing with each other, they can compete in the world market. So there are 2 or 3 things. In fact, in last 1 year, we found that farmers are interested to adopt these organic farming and natural farming. But they are having difficulty because they are not getting those things, substitute of these chemical things at their village level. So we have to put the emphasis on research, extension system, and the capacity building of particularly women farmers, so that they can start preparing these things at the local village level. Then only we can think of banning. Otherwise, whatever we will do, farmers will not accept any ban or anything.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, thank you, Neelam. I think you focus also on the points. Some of our speakers today and yesterday also focused on to this holistic approach on which level we have to act so that they really can live with this kind of business. Anyone else to add to this questions, or which are somehow repeated questions we already addressed? And because no one raises the finger, I would now try to focus. Yes, Kesang, please. And then I introduce a question from my side. You must unmute your microphone, Kesang.
Thank you. I'll try to answer a few questions. One question was on how can you increase the sales? In Bhutan, we are trying to link organic production in villages and areas with the school feeding program and institutional kitchens, which are hospitals and monasteries. So that is one option where we can link up local markets. Of course, in Bhutan, we do not have premium for organic. Organic is being sold at the same price. So that is a challenge, because then people don't find a reason why they should grow organic. So on that, we are trying to raise advocacy and awareness and promote the brand Bhutan Organic, so that people recognize that organic is done with an intentional effort and it is different from local produce, because people don't differentiate local produce from organic in Bhutan. So you're trying to build an image that associates with the certification. So the certification will lead to increase in sales of organic produce. So that is what we are trying to do. And there was one question about how we can whether we would be looking at banning agrochemicals. I think all the issues we're saying that the transition has to be slow. When we are ready to support everything as a package, then ban can happen. But unless we have a subsidy or support for farmers to alternate an alternative substitute, that's why we are, for the flagship, we are focusing a lot on input production. We are promoting compost plants, biopesticide use and promotion, and seed, organic seed and animal feed, so that at least those basic needs would be taken care of, which will enable farmers to be certified so that their sales can increase. Thank you.
So thank you, Kesang. And now I want to address a broader question. You see, as we've learned, it's a lot about training and creating markets and transparency and so on to go on. As a former minister, I did this with an organic sign in Germany and with a holistic approach on a program, and we're still going on. And I can tell you, even the EU now has the plan to have 25% organic agriculture in 2030, which also means there will be a demand for products from overseas, because people focus more and more on it, and what we always do is focusing also on public food, like kindergarten, schools, universities, and so on, so that farmers see there are consumers that really buy it and use it, and because we have to do something against climate crisis, we have to organize systematically. But now my question, and I would start with Anne-Sophie from FAO, and then go to Xona and to Pema, and then Xona maybe. The question is, what is, after all what we heard now, what is our duty? What could be the international approach? Should there be, like we have for forests, for rainforest, should there be somehow a Himalayas program or fund on the international level, where we say this Himalayas region is so important that the international institutions try to help with a fund, which means money, helping with science and research, getting people from there somewhere here to study organic or go there and develop programs? What would be if I'm, going to, I'm not sure, is it a vision or utopia? What would it mean to have a brand called Himalayas with a regional flag so that people have the, the value is kept there and is really coming there? But my first point is what should we do internationally? A fund where everyone knows about the value of Himalayas and for all mankind, and what should be in there? And Sophie.
Thank you, Renate. Lovely idea and suggestion from your side. I think, our Pema is here with us, and our friend at IFOAM called the Himalayas the pulse of the planet, and for good reason. It's really where a lot of the region's water come from. It's an iconic region, and we've pushed for a long time with several colleagues for this region to be really a center of international efforts. Including with our donors. I think that indeed I see the region as really a place where lots of innovations are taking place, and because the ecosystems are so fragile, and at the same time the culture is among the countries that we see, there's many similarities and red threads in the culture and the mountain life, that I think it would be lovely to see a program focusing on Himalayas, and I think this event is really a great start for countries to start sharing, which they do already, but maybe create an initiative where all of the very innovative but also many challenges that are faced in implementation are shared by countries, and then we can attract international attention maybe on the Himalayas as an iconic region of the world that not only is providing immense ecosystem services, but also very innovative human solutions and innovations in terms of scaling agroecology. We heard about Sikkim, about Bhutan as moving to some of the only places on the planet aiming to be 100% organic or agroecological. Himachal is there very strongly, as well as was presented by Dr. Chandel and the Chief Minister yesterday. Other regions like Arunachal Pradesh in India. So I think there's really something that the world has to watch and the world has to support there.
Oh, I'm happy that you think this is a creative idea, not impossible. Pema, you mentioned half an hour ago about we should work more together on the market. What do you think? What should be part of such an international effort, like doing an international Himalayas program or a market brand, Himalayas?
Thank you very much, Renate. And I'll begin by, I think we have to start with sharing experiences from across the region. I think there are good experiences from Sikkim, from other parts of India, from Bhutan, and from Nepal also. So in Nepal, for example, IFOAM has implemented what is called climate resilient smart agriculture. So integrating use of biofertilizers, biopesticides, efficient use of water and energy for agriculture. So I think you have to also acknowledge that countries like Bhutan has come a long way. We used to, pursue the green revolution through, abundant use of fertilizers and pesticides until the 90s. And then from then on, we have adopted what is called integrated soil fertility management. We have also adopted what is called integrated pest and disease management. So incorporating biological means of controlling pests and diseases, as well as manual means, so it's not that we are starting from ground zero. So most part of the Himalayas have many things going in our favor. For example, clean water, clean air, and mostly clean soil also. So a program of that size, international support or regional cooperation, should begin with looking at the land itself. Land development is a key. We have adopted what is called sloping agricultural land technology, which means to avoid erosion, landslides, terracing and bunding with tree crops or shrubs. And then soil fertility management, which again collecting litter from the forest, mixing that with compost and farmyard manure. So using that, then of course more efficient use of water. And then Kesang has also mentioned the need for mechanization because shortage of labor is a key problem. So using appropriate machinery and equipment. But the key is to be very pragmatic, to take a pragmatic approach. I think there's no such thing as that we can, okay, organic and we go all organic. So we have to go landscape by landscape, region by region, area by area, and crop by crop. And one of the things that we need to do is also revive traditional crops. I always say forgotten crops for future food security. So in Bhutan, for example, we are now successfully bringing back buckwheat. Buckwheat is a crop that almost went out of production, but because now we have recognized that it is a very suitable crop for the given conditions now. Yeah, it requires no chemical inputs in terms of this kind. So this kind of crops need to be brought back. And we should not forget the food in the wild. The wild, for example, mushrooms from the forest, edible plants and so on. These are naturally organic. And I think there would be niche markets for that. So in my view, there's a lot of room for cooperation and international support for the Himalayas and going beyond the production to marketing, quality control and standard setting and so on. So there we really need sort of regional approach to be competitive and so on. So I'll stop at this stage. Thank you, Renate.
Yes, thank you. So now we are going to Sona. Would be happy if I find someone else for going for this crazy idea, like international Himalayas program.
So
Yes. Yes, Pema.
Pema?
Can I just add? Yes, I think this is something that I would like to repeat. And I think we would very much like to have a Himalayan organic brand, so that would mean, the cooperative across borders, farmers cooperative producing a certain kind of organic crop, bring it to scale, and then have a standard branding and marketing system. So this would require quite substantial, changes in policy, trade policies, and investment also. Such a support would be very much needed. Thank you very much, Renate.
Nice, Pema, that you focused on this brand. It's an idea you organized in my head yesterday, and people always say if you have a story to tell and people see it, not just like this is salt from Himalayas, which people sell it, but it's not really in it. But if you have a brand you can trust, they have a story, and people can make a decision when they buy. It could happen. But now it's Sona. Sona, you are the one on this panel giving us the last ideas.
Yes, what I would add from what Mrs. Poisot and Mr. Dimasho said is that, I would emphasize that we need to foster first cooperation across all of these Himalayan states, and then also at the international level. And what we are doing in these 2 days, I wish is just the first of many other events to come. So we need to follow up between across these countries and at the international level, and just to continue with these efforts. That's what from my side.
Yes. Does anyone want to add something? Yes, Kesang, you are, even if Anne-Sophie or Neelam wants, we have 4 minutes time. Kesang.
Yeah, I think I would like to join in with this cooperation of the Himalayas, where I think we are in a very fragile and sensitive area, but also very critical in managing international resource, which is the water source, as well as the source of many genetic materials. To preserve that, conserve that, and develop that, and give a reason for the people to participate in preserving that, we need to give them a reason to do that. And unless they have some benefit, people will not appreciate it. So having capacity building of the people to take part in it, and to support that with regional, the Himalayan states as well as the countries, if we can have coordination in research, capacity building, and technology development suitable for mountain ecosystems, because our mountain farming system is very different from the broad acre farming in the Europe and America, where you can use big machines. So our really steep farms require different technology, different pests and diseases. So research collaboration and setting up a foundation for mountain systems research would be good. And other thing is the co-branding of our products, the mountain products, which is to build the volume. So I think that would be something really workable, I feel. Thank you.
I thank you, Kesang. Anne-Sophie, do you want to add something?
Yes, I think my last parting word would be going back to the issue of demand for organic food and agroecological food. First of all, it doesn't have to be necessarily more expensive, especially if we build local markets and we focus on local markets rather than very long distance, which increase cost, increase losses and food waste. And also if we focus on cheaper certification or guarantee methods, as we discussed earlier with the participatory guarantee systems. But beyond this issue, I think consumers and society and policymakers have to realize that there is no such thing as cheap food. If we think our food is cheap, well, somebody else is paying the price. Is either, the next generation or ourselves by paying all the state in hospital bills, from increased health issues and the burden of non-communicable diseases. Our environment and our children will bear the cost in terms of cleaning up water and degradation of soils from having depleted the life in the soils. So really, it's about us rethinking what kind of societal model do we want for people's health and nutrition? Is it a sort of reactive approach where we help to cure people once they're sick, or and the environment and clean up degraded soils and disposing of obsolete pesticides at a very high cost? Or is it a preventative approach and a holistic approach where we build healthier environments and we end up saving on health bills further down the line because our people are better nutrition, better food, etc. So I think this is what calls for major investments from policymakers in research and in support systems and marketing systems. And that's been wonderful to see the strong commitments from the state and also country governments in this forum, because such a minuscule proportion of our agriculture research is on non-chemical systems or organic or agroecology. So of course the yields needs to be supported by innovations, and if we as public institutions don't do that, we are failing our society in a way. So we need to have a reshift of our priorities, and there's a lot of doubt about where is the evidence, but if we look, it is there. There's a lot of evidence, and the lack of sometimes evidence or solutions for everything shouldn't be an excuse not to act. And I'm very, very glad to see that Neelam Patel is here with us from Niti Aayog, and Dr. Rajiv Kumar, Vice Chair of the Niti Aayog, advising the Prime Minister of India, has been such a strong supporter for agroecological and natural farming movements. Lots of governments we've heard at the very senior most level have supported this agenda. And I think this would have been unthinkable a few years ago. Even if we hear the discussions inside our own organization, FAO, the cursor has really shifted to this agroecology and organic being an enormous potential, when not all the responses are there, not all the solutions are there, huge challenges are there, but we do need to invest massively.
Thank you, Anne-Sophie. That was impressive with a lot of energy. And the last words will be done by Neelam Patel in this panel.
Thank you. I think since any know that we are implementing agroecological farming in country in a big way, so I think if we can compile the good practices of the different country, those who can implement or replicate and can be evaluated. So in place of doing research again in different country, if we can from this forum, we can start compiling the good practices and then impact of those practices on our natural resources. Since the policymaker, since I am there in that side, thinks that if we will implement move to organic or natural, we are going to compromise our food security. So we have to convince the people, no, if you are having the standardization of the practices, if you are going to use the standardized product, then you are not going to compromise on your food security. But you are preparing your nations for the generations to come. Since India is having the success of this green revolution, and now we are seeing the impact of those green revolution also. We are losing our water, we are losing our soil health, and we have achieved the food security, but we could not achieve the nutrition security. So now we are having everything in our hand. That is why the Sikkim is there, Andhra Pradesh is there, Himachal Pradesh is there, even Kashmir, J&K. So, Annie is very much involved in our program. She is supporting. So you know that we are now transforming our agriculture, and we are involving all the people together with in our program. So I think we can start bringing the revolution together in place of working in the phased manner. And once we're having our consortium, then we can identify the gaps. To fill those gaps, how much money do we need to invest? And in the phased manner, for how many years? 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. So that the policy can be devised and the international organization, the national organization can work together to address those gaps. Then only we can start beginning the good progress. This is our experience in India, which we are having nowadays. That is the thing. Thank you.
Thank you, Neelam. That was impressive, that you said it's about generations to come. There is a responsibility and for the green recovery, as the minister said. Okay, now I would like to thank my panelists for this energy and excitement and ideas. And as Gandhi once said, to translate it from my German to English, every big journey starts with the first little step. So I think we did a step today. And now, before we conclude, we'll get a message from a farmer in Bhutan. And it's from someone whose life will be directly affected in the way, and if we manage to bring this planned regional transformation to success, we meet Mrs. Kinley Wangmo from Paro. She can be considered the first organic farmer in the area. She farms with her family 5 acres of apples, asparagus, rice, mixed vegetables, and this is her message.
Ru ani nam sami book do anim ten be do nan jini ani army wam lo se them do ngaduna ma ten lani tani ani mendo ne mapale matone gi na ka te na masila te them do te on thuku te anim bero be go be jai himani menta be do thete pura lam ya ni mosla ngacha te ta ani ngacha khane lu ne mi go le ja do lam ne do lam ra mi lam me bala te mero them ne chara sarwe ka go thabe mosla te chap chap lalu ne rimi berwe lalu mariwa deume te lalu ne kam jure lalu makam ba demi chini ro do te shimitsu shisuro demi tu satu belanga choragi te chibe be gole ni go mathobre te mapale mathope lunyume soma sobari chikap te no da ne tu miba chen toru organic bewa la khadu mola ranji ki bewa te li go pe te lu miba chen do thok ne le jim themi to bena te gin khau chap be ne tiktibe bewa chen do te tho zo ele bela te ani bub do ne me nam sab mi theme wala ta tichu du mashila ta ja du kate be unga ta tula mi shibela Ranjini tang do ati chite nembe mon kai rabrup ton de ati yagi to ma chen ra thayum ta ngacha ta tub mi se gi nam sa me khame ko mosla te shin khai yuma se ne gi men ta bub gi men ta gume se mangume se be golle male admi the ne be mine ya on mena se no mela.
This was, I think, an impressive point, especially we all hope for snow, I think. And now I have, as we are approaching the situations, now as we are approaching the situation to close these 2 impressive days, let me ask Mr. Philipp Knill, Head of Division India and South Asia from the German Federal Minister for Economic Cooperation and Development, for his concluding remarks. I think we have got a lot of ideas, even for the ministries or others, for the next years. Mr. Knill, the floor is yours.
Thanks a lot to you and to the organizers, and actually just saying at the very beginning, probably Ms. Kinley Wangmo would have been the much better speaker at the very end, as she really again showed how interrelated and how complex work of farmers in the Himalayan region is, and how they really cope with these challenges and go forward and show a positive agenda. Now, I think it has been impressive. I don't have to say this. You all know that it has been impressive to listen to all of you. The ministers from Nepal, Bhutan, from India, Mr. Tomar. We also had our German minister here. We had chief ministers from Himachal Pradesh and Sikkim. We also had very important contributions for sure from think tanks and planning institutions such as Niti Aayog, Mr. Kumar and Ms. Patel, with excellent contributions that are really showing that they are, let's say, a step ahead on these issues. And all really your contributions have been quite impressive, and it also shows the richness of the discussions that are there. It's not a single issue discussion, it's a very complex discussion, but I think there are 2 main conclusions I would see from these discussions. First of all, there's no doubt that there's already lots of evidence and great contributions by agroecological approaches towards the Agenda 2030. It is quite clear that it is a multi-purpose vehicle that can also provide better income and a better life for farmers and directly affected people. However, there are for sure challenges, as mentioned by Niti Aayog, by others, how to sequence policies, how to bring all the stakeholders on board, how to have more winners than losers of such an agenda, how to bring in these stakeholders in a very well-organized way and design policies and next steps so that we really take the people along and their interests. The second big question, I think, the second big issue that approached is certainly it's a holistic approach. Everybody, I think, stressed it. And just let me just quickly go through the actors we have on the table. We have around the table to make this work. It's for sure the governments at all levels. It's the parliaments. It's the farmers, and it's the consumers. It's the markets and the private sector, for sure. It's civil society, again, research and think tanks that need to contribute. It's cultural and religious communities. Certainly, it's also for sure multilateral organizations such as FAO. It's, let's say, a regional approach, coordination and collaboration at the regional level in the Himalaya region. We heard about the iconic region and possible branding, which might be very important. So these are all very important questions. And for sure, there's the international part of it. There's also responsibility for sure of Germany, how to organize our own markets, how to contribute in a very systemic and structural way to efforts in the Himalayan through our markets, but also for sure through cooperation on many different levels. So I think there's huge room to define a positive agenda. I think that's what we should do, to support each other to define a positive and very concrete agenda forward. And maybe let me say one thing again also. We look very humbly from the German side to what is happening in South Asia and the Himalaya on these issues. We have our experiences, and certainly Renate Künast knows that much better than I do. But when we look at the circumstances in the Himalayan region and the other areas of the world, it's so much we really can learn and see how different approaches can work. So there's lots. We are looking quite humbly to actually to the reform agenda, to the revolution, even as Nitya Yog, Ms. Patel just called it, and how to take it forward. So we can contribute a little bit, probably, but the main drivers are for sure others, and we would be happy to be at least a part of it and to support where we can. So now back again, leaving the German perspective aside, I think again it's an ambitious agenda. There are lots of things to do, but very concrete steps to take ahead. These discussions should definitely contribute to the Food Systems Summit. Certainly the actors that have participated, also including ourselves here in Germany, will try to take these issues and proposals and recommendations forward. For sure, you will get a very good documentation of this meeting. I think parts of it will be also public, so that really the rich discussions can be showcased to the outside even more than the exact audience here now. So this is one way forward. Then I think we all need to look at ourselves. What are our contributions to take the agenda forward? What do we have to implement in our countries, in our institution, for us personally, and hopefully also in a very collaborative effort jointly to push the transformation, to push the revolution possibly. And then let me be very practical as well when it comes to this gathering. We would be happy to continue jointly with you to push for these reforms until 2030 in the Himalayan region. I think we should think about mapping or designing a roadmap with goals and what could be very concrete contributions from all of you, from all of us to this roadmap. So we would invite you really to think if you have something to contribute. I'm sure that you have, and we will approach you. You should approach us, the organizers of this event, if you want to work jointly on such a roadmap to take these things forward. There will probably be also an online tool showcasing further on impactful policies and programs, practices in the region. We hope to continue to organize regular exchanges with the actors in the region in the driver's seat. Hopefully annual updates, maybe something similar to what we have done now in the 2 days. Yes, so all of this possibly might help to increase a positive branding for the Himalayan and for agroecological approaches in the Himalayan until in the next years up to 2030. So much from my side, and really again repeat that it has been an honor and very impressive to participate here. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Mr. Knill, for your finishing remarks, and we all considered that you talked about roadmaps, goals, working together, meeting again. This is what we all wanted to hear, I think. So this was the time we had for these 2 days. We all thank you for your time, for your activities. And as Mr. Knill said, do not hesitate to contact the ministry. And I would say for the organizers, do not hesitate to contact IFOAM Organics or the World Future Council, the two organizations that put that on the road. And on the chat, you have email addresses. The email contacts must be there now, and everyone will get the material we got here. And finally, I want to thank you all for your participation. And maybe Mr. Knill sends our thanks to the minister. I had a coffee with him 1 year ago. Here we are. About that issue, and I thank you all for your work, the speakers for their great input, the teams from IFOAM Organics and from the World Future Council, and all the people that managed to meet us somewhere in Germany, to Bhutan, Nepal, and India. That was impressive that it worked, and therefore also to all the people and working at the federal ministry in Germany. And that said, I wish you all a great rest of the day. There is a lot to do, and this will be continued, and we will all meet for sure. Thank you all.